بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. So in this video, I want to talk about the concept of nationalism and how nationalism is hurting the Muslim community and Muslims all over the world. Right? So the first of all, nationalism. I define nationalism as the blind love for your country. Right? You can love the place you were born in. That's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. That's completely fine. The Prophet ﷺ used to love Mecca, right? But and Makkah was a city. It's like, concept of the nationalism, the way that we have now did not exist at that time. So nationalism is like blind nationalism is when you love your country to the extent that if someone even genuinely criticizes your country, you get offended and you lose your mind, right? And that happens a lot of times. I've had debates with people, discussions with people, and I'm always very cautious to say anything about someone's country. But in a lot of cases, I do end up saying something, and people just lose their mind in a lot of cases. And so that is weird, right? Like, if there is constructive criticism, so remember that if you cannot take constructive criticism, you will never grow in life as a person. If you cannot take constructive criticism as a nation, your nation is never going to grow, right? And so that is the problem. Blind nationalism is hurting the Muslim. Like every Muslim, a lot of Muslims, like they think that their country is the best, and they look down upon other people or other races also, right? So, uh, one of the things that I noticed recently, like that there is an event that happened recently that triggered me to make this video. I've been thinking about making this video because it's a sensitive topic. I was, thinking on how to talk about it, but recently something happened that triggered me to make this video. And alhamdulillah, we've been through Ramadan and Eid recently. And what happened was during the celebration of Eid, in one of the masjids, and I'll be, blunt about this. It was a Turkish masjid. Nothing against Turkey, but so people who are watching, if they're from the Turkey, if they're from Turkey, don't get offended. It's doesn't make sense. So they were celebrating Eid, but they mingled that with celebrating their country. Like they had, like in the Eid event, they had their flag on with a picture of Erdogan and Ataturk, right? Which does not make any sense at all. Like, why are you mixing an event that is purely an Islamic event connected with the religion with your nationalists event, right? Like your country, any country is just an imaginary boundary, right? That people have drawn, right? And it can disappear or be split into other countries. Like, God forbid that happens to your country, but it has happened in history where countries have been split up into other countries, right? So what portion of the country are you gonna love? Like, so loving again the place you were born. Alhamdulillah, I was born in Dubai with a Pakistani passport. I love Dubai. I love Dubai, and I love Pakistan, right? So it's it's okay to love the place you were born. You have memories from there, but like if someone criticizes Dubai, UAE's policy or Pakistan's policy, I don't get offended, right? If the criticism is valid, then we should accept. If it's invalid, then we should have the knowledge to debate it, right? Or investigate it further. So that's one thing. The other thing is another thing is that Ilham Iqbal, right? He has talked about nationalism, and in one of his poetry, right? Some of his poetry, like there's a beautiful excerpt from that in which he says, I'll say this in Urdu for people who know Urdu. इन ताज़ा खुदाओं में बड़ा सबसे वतन है जो पैरहन इसका है मजहब का कफन है. That in these new fresh gods there is a god called nationalism, right? And um and that is one of the biggest gods of our time, right? And whoever follows this concept is actually this concept is a graveyard for religion, right? And it hurts religion, right? Because in a lot of cases people replace like a scholar once said that being religious, right, believing in one God is a vacuum inside us. If we don't believe in one God, we're going to place something besides that. And so the Quran says that there are some people, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُم كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ. That there's some people who make andad, right? Nid is like you replace something with something, right? You replace God with something else, and they love that thing, that person, that concept the way they love God. They should have loved God, right? So they're ready to die for that concept, right? This is what Karen Armstrong, is a well-known writer. She said that in one of her interviews. I was listening to her a long time ago. She said that, you know, religion, nationalism has, in a way, replaced religion. That people, it is okay for people to die for their country, but if you die for a religion, you're labeled a terrorist, right? Although I don't endorse that, right? Um, but it's such a it's weird for me to die for a country the same way it's weird to for some extremists to die for religion, right? That's the whole idea, that if you believe in a concept in such a way that you are blindly devoted to it, and then you're willing to die for it without giving other people space, right, or listening to their arguments, then it has replaced, that concept has replaced your religion, right? The vacuum that you have inside you. So one more thing that I've observed in local communities is that, again, no offense to the Turkish people. I love Turkey myself. It's I've recently watched a few like 2 years ago I watched Ertugrul. So I'm a big fan of the Turkish culture. But it's, again, you should accept, I should accept, you should accept valid criticism. Otherwise, we're not gonna grow, right? So there's something weird that I've noticed, that the masjids, right, where Turkish people go are labeled as Turkish masjids, right? I haven't seen anything like this in other communities, like where people um, have labeled masjids with their country's names. Like, we don't have Bengali masjids or Pakistani masjids or Indian masjids, but we have Turkish masjids. So for the Turkish community, right, I would suggest that please don't do this. Like, it's your country, again, is just unless you, so remember that the concept of Sufism, right? There's a concept in Sufism called fana, right? Where until you get rid of yourself, right? You're not gonna, grow, right? You're not gonna see the reality of life. So until, as a nation, we forget about nationalism, about our nationalist identities, we're not gonna grow, right? So please don't do that to the masajids, to Islam's traditions, right? Keep your nationalism, keep your country away from our religion. And one of the ways, last thing I want to say is, if you've noticed that when I was in Qatar, right? Personally, I hate national anthems. I don't know why do countries have that, um, but countries, this is how, one of the ways countries feed nationalism into their generations, right? They make kids sing national anthems in the morning, right, with music or without music, right? And they make videos, right, of F-16s that they buy from other countries and put their flags on it with their national anthem or nationalist songs, right? And then, they're proud of their own country, right? Whereas in a lot of Muslim countries, especially, it's an irony that we're not creators of technology. We buy technology and then we put tags, our flags on their on the F-16s and other technology we buy, and then we're proud of our country, right? So so again, if you talk to a lot of Muslims from different countries, everyone has their own superior nationalists story. That, for example, the Pakistanis think that the Imam Mahdi, that the forces that are gonna go help Imam Mahdi are gonna go from there. The Afghanis think the same. And if you go talk to an Arab country, they're gonna have some other story in which they're gonna sort of justify that their country is better than others. So again, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. It can be any country, but please stop intermingling religion with your country's concept, right? With the concept of nationalism. So this was the message of the video. Jazakallah for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Keep learning, keep smiling, and keep believing.